100%, Dave. First off, welcome to South Africa, even though we're your second home at the moment. I just want to see how's Cape Town treating you at the moment.
Man, Cape Town's been like an amazing home away from home. I've always enjoyed Cape Town more and more. When I come back, I get a warmer and warmer welcome. I stayed in the same hotel I did last time, the Pepper Club. They hooked me up with this room, which is fantastic. But yeah, I walked in and everybody, the staff all remembered me. They gave me a good warm welcome. I was giving them high fives and knuckle bumps and all kinds of stuff. So it's great. That's just a small part of it. I go to gyms and places and everybody's just been really cool with me. So I really enjoy the way Cape Town has been treating me. So hey, Cape Townians, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Shout out to Cape Town. That's good to hear, man. And you struggling with any jet lag at the moment?
I think I murdered the jet lag with coffee and trying to sleep at the right time. So yeah, I took down the jet lag. I'm a normal South African right now. I think we'll see, but yeah, I killed the jet lag. I'm working on killing that weight, and then I'm going to fight and beat up Don Madge, hopefully on April 8th on Saturday. That's the plan. Either beat him up or submit him or whatever I have to do to win that fight. Man, I'm getting all fired up. I have no carbs in me. I start to get more aggressive. Do you hear that?
It sounds like we went from very chill to very aggressive there quite quickly.
Yeah, it happens quick. I need like chocolate or something, then I'll be happy again.
Dave, you mentioned moving around to a couple of gyms while you're in Cape Town. Is there any gym that you use as a home specifically while you're here?
Pride Fighting Academy has been really good to us. It's been really inviting. Yeah, Pride Fighting Academy is really good. They have good setup, good gym, and Michael over there has really helped us out. So Pride Fighting Academy has been really good. I also went over to I used to be a Gracie Baja guy, and Henzo Gracie had a big influence on my coach at our Gracie Baja gym. So we checked out the Henzo Gracie Academy over there a few times, and it was really close to the room. So we did a couple workouts there too. But Pride Fighting Academy was great to me last time. That's the only place I went. And then also I've been working out at the Pepper Club. They have a good workout facility that I've been doing. So if I just need to get my lungs open, hit some cardio on the treadmill, we would push all the gym stuff to the side and hit mitts while these patrons are looking at us like, what are these guys doing? But it's fun. It was good. So yeah, I have everything I need in this hotel room, but it's nice to get on some mats and move around and hit a heavy bag and whatnot.
Sure, and get any trade secrets there from PFA? They obviously have a long history with Don Madge as well.
Yeah, apparently there's bad blood there, so that was interesting to hear. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I hear that a lot where there's individuals that there's bad blood with Don in different portions of the country, which is I don't know. I guess it is what it is. It happens. So I would hate to go around my own town and have people like have bad blood with me. Like I try to get every gym I've been to. I've generally I would hope most of them say good things about me. If I go back to my own old gym in Alaska, or I moved away from one fight team and back to Extreme Couture over the Extreme Couture. So, I'm glad I have good relations with all my gyms. But yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting things in the fight game, man. It is guys leave gyms, and there's always three sides to the story: their side, his side, and the truth. I guess, eh?
Right, and that's why I'm not like, oh my, I just kind of. Listen to every side of the story and until there's a reason for me to think that way. I don't need to, but yeah, everybody, yeah, you're right. Everybody has their own stories. I guess I'd be interested to hear his side. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, Dave, how has your camp gone for this one? I know online you've said that your weight cut and your weight at the moment is the best it's ever been. How has the camp gone in general, and did you train anything specific for this one?
Yeah, it's funny. It's just I mean, of course, every fighter tells you it's the best fight, the best they've ever felt. You know, like you're not going to go and say,
True.
"I feel like crap." But I mean, right? Who does that? But I mean, there's been so many great changes in my life coming into this the fight camp. Like I've never. I just moved in with my girlfriend for one, which is interesting because there's a part of me that like, it was always. It was the first time living with a female, that I was dating, and there was a lot of specific reasons because I've seen a lot of guys, you know, become worse from from living with their significant other. Um, but I think I picked the right one. So far it's been an amazing change. She's been super supportive. We like cook meals together. We get everything. It's like my life became just that much more structured and that much more disciplined when I move in with her. I guess I'm 33 now, so I guess like my discipline and everything is way better than it would be, and we don't really fight. Yeah, we never fight. We everything's good and everything's great and she's super supportive. So that has been a big change. Also, I started working at a yoga Pilates studio. I've always done yoga and stuff, but I started to work at this one, and I started a cardio boxing program, and I teach kettlebells over there too. And the energy I get from those classes, and honestly, the extra cardio I get teaching those classes, I think has leaned me out, and also the positive. I don't want to sound like a hippie, but the positive energy I get from everybody. Seriously, surround yourself with positivity. Like you lean out, you become healthier. If you have a healthy mindset, your body becomes healthy as well. So that has been a big change. Another big change that has happened. Again, these are all significant things that happened all in a row since the last fight. I started working with this guy, Tim Bring the Pain Lane. I worked with him a little bit before my last fight, and then we just got this full camp with him. And if you look Tim up, he's got some good world class kickboxing credentials of his own, and also he's trained some world class boxers that fought Pacquiao and stuff like that. So he was at Gleason's gym in New York, training, at one of the best boxing gyms in the world.
Yes.
So this guy knows the striking game very well, and he was at Extreme Couture, when Frank Trigg was around, worked with Tyson, like when Tyson Griffin was there, and like he's like one of the OGs at Extreme Couture. So this guy knows martial arts, he knows mixed martial arts, but specifically kickboxing angles and stuff like that. And he himself is a southpaw, and I know Don switches back and forth, and of course I'm conscious of that, and conscious of whatever stance he holds, and but Tim Lane is a southpaw kickboxer, so I've already worked a lot of orthodox. I've also worked a lot of southpaw, and there's also a guy in my gym, Zach Jusola. You can look him up on whatever, but he's a pro fighter with about 16 pro fights, junior college pedigree in wrestling, but the guy likes to strike, and he strikes so well that Conor McGregor hired him to simulate Nate Diaz when Conor McGregor was getting ready to fight. So he's saying southpaw, and he's been this thorn in my side for the last 3 years, at my gym, trying to figure out how to beat a tall, lanky southpaw that knows how to strike. And so I feel like I've been fighting Don Madge for a really long time, but with Zach, it was like a Don Madge who has really good wrestling and has been training at the world class level. Zach is he's trained in Minnesota. He's from Minnesota, trained with like Sean Shirk and those guys, and all over Las Vegas. He's been at Drysdale Jiu-Jitsu and Roy Jones Jr. Boxing Gym, and he trains with me at Extreme Couture. So this guy's good, and I feel like that body type and that style and everything. Obviously, everybody's a little different, but I found the best replica I possibly could for Don Madge in my own gym all the time, and I had him before I even got signed this fight. So. Then just a few touches here and there with Tim Lane, and then my little sister Gina Danger Mazany, she has the groundwork for me, and she can yell from the corner with that. But I feel great. Like all that's good, and the weight cut, like you said, I'm not. It's crazy. It's not like I'm super light. but like I'm learning how to get my weight off real fast. So I'm gonna blow up, I'm gonna blow up like
Yeah.
the same size I usually am, but I just feel like it's just way more painless. I'm not stressed. I'm like this whole week I was eating. Like yesterday I had a great workout, and when I felt like I could have fought yesterday at that carb depleted level for some reason, I'm learning. Like the weight cut is people call it a science, but to me it's an art because you adjust and you read your own body and you read what's going on. So the weight cut for me is awesome, and I'm like today all day. We've this morning we got everything to replenish. Food and fluids, and I'm packing everything away. So I have a meticulous way. I have a very meticulous, controlled way of getting all my fluids and all my food back in. It's not just me just pounding food. I'm not binging. I'm eating for performance because regardless of what I want to indulge in, I still have a goal April 8th to beat Don Madge and be the best pain train I can possibly be.
All right, man. Jeez, it sounds very interesting. So it's almost as if you've been planning for Don Madge for a long time, even without thinking it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. He was in the back of my mind because the first thing that happened when I got signed my second fight with EFC after that big long layoff after EFC 5,
Yeah.
I came in to fight Sibu Sisu Midoko, who I think I was like EFC 46, 47, something around there. But that fight was in Cape Town, and immediately there was a bunch of people saying, "Dave, you need to fight Don Madge. You need to fight Don Madge." So this name, came up in my head a long time, and it's funny because I remember him from that fight because I remember looking at the Facebook and everybody's, who's your picks for this fight? Everybody picked, a majority that picked Dave Mazany, and he was one of the very few to pick Sibo Sisu Madoko to beat me in that fight. So it was one of those things. I'm like, who's this guy? So Don Madge didn't believe in me then, and we'll see. We'll see if I change. If I haven't changed my mind already, hopefully I can change my mind April 8th. And still, like, he's a very confident guy. I'm sure I could beat him, and then he would still want another fight, thinking that there was a fluke or whatever. Apparently, he thought it was a fluke that I beat what's his name, Leon Mainhart twice. I think he said if he had a full camp that I would have got beaten by him that second time, but I don't know. Leon came in pretty strong, in my opinion. So I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I don't think anyone beats Leon Manhart twice by fluke. In any case, that needs to be seen.
He's a tough dude.
Sure.
That guy's a freaking zombie. You hit him a few times, he turns into a zombie and keeps going. He's like a bad dream. You hit him and he keeps going. You're like, oh my god. So yeah, Leon, much respect to that guy, and all respect to my opponents. But I remember after that fight, I was sitting next to Leon. I was getting an IV because I actually, they let me have an IV because I was super dehydrated after that fight, and he was getting stitches. So after that fight, I was just sitting there BSing with him on the medical table, and the dude's a class act, great guy. So I love. Every time I see that guy, I'll shake his hand and enjoy the encounter.
Yeah, 100%. Dave, just two things here. You've obviously given us a long list of the kind of caliber trainers that you have access to, and obviously you're at a massive international gym for us South Africans looking at it. And in that also you mentioned a lot of things have changed for your personal life. So I have a two-part question. Firstly, bearing in mind, obviously now you've moved in with a new partner and so on, how difficult is it to travel constantly to a foreign country? Specifically, being a champion, you have to keep leaving your hometown to come and fight in South Africa. And then on that note, where do you rank, or how do you rank the EFC and the competitors to the rest of the world?
Those are both good questions. So traveling. Yeah, I'm in a world-class gym. And just a side note on that, it's like, yeah, I'm around a bunch of the best trainers in the world, best fighters in the world, but you got to keep in mind that I'm a little tiny fish in a small pond. Sure. I'm continually climbing the rungs and trying to get better and better every single day. So that gives me the push. The downside of that is I don't get the one-on-one attention that most fighters will. I got the training partners. I can absorb information from all around me. Fortunately, I've done lots of this journey by myself. And then the other good thing is Tim Lane has really helped me put everything together. He's been an actual coach for me this whole time and done the things that I would assume a coach would do. So that's been great. But as far as traveling, um, I'm in the comfort zone right now. To tell you the truth, I am in the comfort zone. I have not fought in my hometown. I'll have to look it up on SureDog or something. But I haven't fought in my hometown in probably 7, maybe 8 years. So, because I moved to Vegas 7 years ago, and even when I was in Alaska, my last fights in Alaska were in Canada. So I've fought on the road every single time. There's no professional fights in Vegas other than the UFC, which I'm obviously trying to get to. But there's amateur fights, but there's no fights in my hometown ever. So I've been I've been on the road for every single fight, building my record up from the time I had I was coming out of 3 losses. So to long story short, this is the easy. This is normal to me every time. I think I might freak out if I actually fight in the town I live in. so you know, I kind of like it. It provides me some isolation when I'm out of the country. My phone doesn't really work unless I get attached to Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So it's isolation. I can sit here and just focus and think and just worry about the things that I need to worry about, which is fighting on April 8th at the Grand West Casino. And then the second part of your question you asked, what was it again? It was
Basically, just how do you rank or compare the EFC to what you've seen around the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think they rank. I mean, as far as if I see a guy who's like, say if I compare records, like if somebody has 3 pro fights compared to somewhere in the U.S. 3 pro fights, it all honestly depends on where you are at in the United States. So in Alaska, if you compare, if say you're comparing EFC to the promotion I fought in Alaska, everybody with comparable records in the EFC would probably beat the Alaskan guys, with a few exceptions, But I feel like the competition in Alaska was similar. But then again, that's why I moved to Las Vegas. So the guys in my gym who fight with comparable records, I think the EFC guys might have a tough time with the guys in Vegas with those pro records. Because reason being, if you turn pro coming out of Vegas, you've had about 10 to 20 amateur fights, and they're at a super high level. People travel from all around the United States to fight in the amateur circuit in Las Vegas. And because being a guy out of Vegas, you have to travel outside the city in order to fight to build your pro record. You're always going to be the underdog. They're never going to match you really well. So before you turn a guy pro coming out of Vegas, you have to make sure they're even better than they should be, normally, because we all know the politics of fighting. We all know the politics of matchmakers and what they want. They want the hometown guy to win 99% of the time. And if you're building your record out of Vegas, you're getting sent to the wolves every single time. And this is an issue that's come up with some of our guys in our team because, one, the judges won't score for you, for one. If you're in somebody's hometown and there's a close round, the other guy's going to get it. So if you wonder why I work for a finish, it's part of my personality and part of my nature. I want to finish a fight. I don't want to leave it to the judges. And 2, if I'm on the road and I have a decision, I bet I should have laid an ass whooping to them in order to get that decision. Because otherwise, they're going to get it. I had a friend, Boom Boom, Boston Solomon, in Extreme Couture. He was getting called by the UFC. When he got called, his hand was broken, so he healed it up. Had another fight in RFA, lost the decision, but it was such a bad decision that the commentator was literally saying, that's the worst decision I've seen in my life. This is a disgrace, stuff like that. Commentator, unbiased guy, and it stole Boston's UFC shot. It didn't steal it; it delayed it because he's going to get there eventually. But it's what happens when you fight on the road. We're at a severe disadvantage, but that kind of pressure I've always thrived off of, and I've been able to build a winning record with that pressure on the road with disadvantages. So I feel great, and the crazy thing is, I feel like I'm at home at Cape Town. it is. I guess it is freaking me out a little bit because everybody's so cool to me right now, and I feel so comfortable. I know where the stores are. I know where to go when I get places. So that comfort level, I guess, it just allowed me to focus on my fight just a little bit more and allow my nutrition to be a little bit better and the weight cut to go better.
Sure. I think just on that note, well, I can tell you from my side personally, I think you won a lot of fans over the last time you were here. It was such a clinical performance and such an emphatic victory. I think everyone took you a lot more seriously and welcomed you in a little bit more openly. That's the way I saw it anyway. And Dave, what I wanted to ask you next, if you look at Don Madge, obviously statistically there's a lot happening there. He lost to Leon 3 times. You've beaten Leon twice now, obviously one on short notice. Does that statistic mean anything to you?
You know what? I really don't. It's kind of crazy because Leon, I don't think he's got the same style as me. Like, we have different styles, different move sets. I think if you train with Leon and train with Don and train with me, we'd be 3 different individuals. So, I guess watching those fights, I've seen weaknesses in Don. When you see somebody actually lose a fight, you kind of see, little holes in their game. And even when somebody wins a fight, I'm sure. I when I watched my last fight against Leon Mainhart, I was happy about the performance. I was finally happy that the fans here got to see I had a little bit of heart and a little bit of grit and toughness, and I could stand in the pocket and bang. But I cringed the whole, every other, all the time I was cringing just because, I see that fight and I see a lot of holes in the game, and of course I'm going back to patch them all up. Sure. And so win or lose, whatever, it's more about watching that videotape. If I can watch it, watching his videotape, I saw things. I saw where I can fit in, where Leon maybe couldn't have capitalized it. I know I can. So, yeah, it's an interesting statistic, and I think might play a role in people's opinions of how this fight's going to go. But also, styles make fights, and you never know what's going to happen with any individual on another individual.
And just on that, stylistically, do you think Don Madge poses the biggest threat for you here in the EFC?
I don't. I think I don't know. I don't know who's got the best style for me right now. To tell you the truth, I don't know. I see my style working against his pretty well. I mean, obviously, I would say that I guess I have to take this fight either way. But that was a fight I was really confident. I was actually fighting Leon Mainhart the second time. I was nervous about that because I wasn't prepping for him, and 2, I knew Leon was I felt like he was a tougher fight, especially him. Not just because he's Leon, but because he fought me once already. I knew he know how to make the right adjustments. So yeah, I've been looking forward to this fight with Don, and I think I have the tools to take him out. I know he's got good jiu-jitsu. They say he has good jiu-jitsu. He's got kickboxing credentials, and I've beat guys with I beat a guy named Shane Campbell. I beat him. He had really good kickboxing credentials, and that guy ended up going to the UFC. This dude had some sexy knockouts in his kickboxing highlights and stuff, and in his MMA highlights. This dude was like really good. And in Canada, the kickboxing culture's I would say almost stronger than the U.S. sometimes, because those Northerners, because I come from Alaska, I know this. Those Northerners need some violence to keep themselves entertained. but and as far as jiu-jitsu, I don't know why he keeps on talking about jiu-jitsu, because we're doing an MMA match, and when I watch a Jadison Costa fight, that's what Jadison tried to fight him with, was jiu-jitsu, and of course, jiu-jitsu plays a role in fighting, but I think one thing people tend to forget is the music. If you listen to music, it's the space between the notes that makes the music sound good. It's not the notes themselves. So you have boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, all this stuff, but the space in between the notes, putting those things together, is what makes the masterpiece. So at Extreme Couture, that's what we work on. We work on putting the space in between the notes. Finding wrestling and jujitsu and boxing and kickboxing and judo and every single art gets melded together into a single art. Because I came from a Gracie Baja gym. I was pure jujitsu. And ever since going to Vanderlei Silva's gym, I learned a lot of like just crazy aggression and violence through those guys, because that's what they did. That's what Vanderlei Silva did. And if you ever watch him fight, if you ever study the Shudo box, that vicious ground and pound that I learned that a lot from then. And then Extreme Couture showed me how to make it a beautiful thing and more art form. So we have a system that is created for mixed martial arts. Our guys will get rolled up by a jiu-jitsu guy sometimes. Like if a guy's a black belt and was won the world champions and all this stuff, they'll get rolled up on a jiu-jitsu match, by a guy who has really good credentials. But mixed martial arts, with a cage wall and all the, and being able to punch somebody and knee them and elbow them and different positions being more important than others, because I think jiu-jitsu right now has, I referee for North American Grappling Association. Jiu-jitsu is right now it's not made for fighting anymore. It's made for competition. And I notice this when I go referee. I look at these matches. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like the stuff people are coming up with is unreal. I got the 10th Planet guys and doing like wild stuff, no-gi grappling, and there's all kinds of different styles that are designed to win tournaments, not so much designed to win fights. When I started jiu-jitsu back in the day, jiu-jitsu was designed to fight. There's a lot of self-defense involved. And in our school, like the way we compete is we went and fought at the cage fights at Alaska Fighting Championships. So I noticed jiu-jitsu has changed. Not that it's a bad thing. I think it's great people are competing. It gives them a good outlet and a good way to test themselves. But so I think, and I'm hoping like that he's just using the vocabulary word that describes grappling for mixed martial arts. But if he plans on like doing jujitsu, it's not good, So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I think Don's flying quite high in confidence in his jiu-jitsu department. I think that's why it comes out quite a bit. That's just my personal opinion, anyway. From what I've seen, his jiu-jitsu is very high level, and I suspect he feels where perhaps people would say you might have a wrestling advantage, he might feel he has a jiu-jitsu advantage. So in my opinion, I think that's why it tends to come up, and there seems to be an underlying current from his side, But
which is interesting, because I've had my purple belt for 7 years, right? Like I got a Gracie belt, and I'm probably 8 by now. Shoot, I think it's been 8 years. I had that gi on for a really long time. And in the last few years at Extreme Couture, I haven't been able to get promoted to that brown belt just because, I've been focusing on my belt test. I'm focusing on getting that gold belt, which I got, and I intend on keeping.
Yeah, so there's a lot of questions that wait to be answered on April the 8th, Dave. We will find out soon enough, at least.
That's the big thing. Everybody asks these questions, and the answer's on Saturday. Nobody can wait.
Sure. I just want to close with one last question. Hypothetically, moving forward, if you manage to notch up the win, what's next for the Pain Train?
What's next? I always take one fight at a time, but I'm always thinking of the future as well. I have a good win streak going on. My little sister just made it to the UFC.
Yes.
So promotionally, it's a good thing for me, and also it puts the last name Mazany on the radar. Obviously, this has been my goal the whole time going in. Ever since I had my first pro fight, I wanted to make the UFC, and that's why I came to Las Vegas, to be the best fighter I can possibly be, is to wear those UFC gloves. It's not like I'm in talks or nothing, but I think after the win streak and defending the title twice and everything, I think after this win, I should be justified in campaigning and reaching out to people in order to get that UFC fight. I know what they're looking for. I know what it takes to get there, and I think I have everything they have there. Otherwise, EFC has been looking at different things. They're talking about lining me up with Chris Bright the winner of this fight. So whatever one comes first, I'll take. I'm happy. I'm more than happy to fight in the EFC. I love the EFC. It's great. They've been fantastic for me. It's been truly amazing. So, but again, I want to get paid more. I don't want to work 4 jobs anymore. You know.
Sounds fair enough,
So,
at least.
yeah, you know.
Cool. Dave, thank you so much for your time, man. I know it's a tough time at the moment. You got to get those last few kilos off there. But we wish you all the best, and we hope the last bit of the weight cut goes really well. And good luck for Fight Night, man, and we'll see you in Cape Town.
Hey, brother, sounds good. Thanks for the interview. I appreciate it.
At EFC 58, the lightweight champion, American Dave Mazany, will defend his title against Cape Town favorite, Don Madge. Will the pain-trained dominance continue inside the hexagon, or will the Magic Man finally get his hands back on EFC gold? Plus, the former interim bantamweight champion Ishad Syed will aim to set the crowd alight against the electrifying showman Tumisang Madiba. EFC 58, Saturday, 8 April, Grand West, Cape Town. Tickets and broadcast information at efcworldwide.com.